Hello there. Our brush tonight is my John's brushes, John Michaud brush. With a 22 millimeter Virginia Sheen, I believe is what it is, but it is a 22 millimeter 3-band silver tip, beautiful knot, wonderfully soft. I'm going to set it in my scuttle and let it warm up a bit. And the soap tonight is Caties Bubbles Mile High Menthol. Now, this is in celebration of Caties Bubbles Week at the Old Cahaba Shave Club. If you are not a member there, it's an awesome group on Facebook. Now, I will warn you, they do not put up with drama, childishness, personal attacks, all that kind of stuff. I know all the Facebook groups say that. Old Cahaba does not, alright? So, you've been warned. But if you want to go someplace and quit yourself like a man, there's 2 places on the Facebook pages that I'm aware of that doesn't take that. And that's the Straight Razor Honing group, which I am a member and an admin of, and Old Cahaba Shave Club. And there's a couple more, but I could name a few of them. Somebody would get upset because I didn't mention them anyway. But right now, we're celebrating Chris Cullen and Caties Bubbles. And this is Mile High Menthol. It was a creation of Chris Cullen in collaboration with Jim and G.I. James. He asked Cullen to create a soap that basically was like Proraso Green on steroids. And Chris delivered. This is a fantastic soap. I'm going to warm up some water. And set it there on the top of the soap. And just enough to wet the top, and then I'm going to get rid of it. I don't generally soak many soaps, but I do like to get the top of them wet with warm water before I begin to lather. And I find that if your brush is warm and the water that's in your brush is warm, and you put a little warm water on top of the soap, people talk about, well, you bloom your soap to warm the soap up because at a certain temperature it releases all the things. Okay. I don't find that I need to do that. I find that that this method is perfectly fine for my needs, and with a warm scuttle, I'm golden. We're supposed to get an inch or 2 of snow tonight. I don't know if we will or not. They've called for it a few times before and we've not got it. But an inch or 2 is alright. I'm not, I'm not a big snow guy. When I used to hunt, of course I liked 4 or 5 inches of snow. It made the deer easier to track. If it was soft and powdery, if you got it freezing and stuff like that, it kind of made the deer want to hole up, because every time you stepped on the snow, you were basically breaking through a layer of ice, and so it was very loud, and the deer are very sensitive to that as well, because they know they can't move around quietly, that kind of deal. But I don't hunt anymore. Not that I don't approve of it or that I have a problem with it, but my physical issues make it very difficult for me to do things like haul a deer out of the woods, stuff like that. And right now, as a budding photographer, I guess is what I would call myself, I would much rather take video or film or photography of the animals and maybe come back next year and do it again. So I mean, that's where I'm at. So, and I've got a couple of days growth and some little weepers happening from the last time I shaved. I shaved with my Wade & Butcher 5/8 with the color scales, and it wasn't completely away from shave ready yet, but it was enough that I thought it needed a refresh. So it's back, I hope, and we will see tonight whether it's done anything, whether I've done anything to improve it. I went back to, instead of just refreshing it, I went back to bevel set on it, because when I refreshed it the first time, it just felt, it was passing hanging hair test, but it just, a lot of times with HHT, a lot of people think that the hanging hair test, it's a foolproof way of telling whether a razor is shave ready or not. That is not the case. I can give you any number of razors that'll pass HHT, and they'll shave like dog. And I could show you any number of razors in my experience that failed HHT that shaved like Scalded Ape. Okay, the thing about the HHT is it's an indicator of what's happening at the edge. And a lot of times it's not whether or not the razor passes HHT, but what it feels like as it's passing that HHT. At least for me, that's how I use it. And so, anyway, I've went through the progressions and finished this on a show brew. So let's see how well it did. Oh, yeah. That's what I'm talking about. That's better. Lovely. That's what it needed. That's kind of the tell for me. I will refresh a razor that I think is shaving decent, but not what I want out of it. And if the HHT kind of feels funky, then I'll drop back to a lower grit stoner. Lovely. I could probably have just dropped back to the 8K and went from there. Love the menthol in this soap, but you know, I just went ahead and did it. Jointed the razor on the stone, reset the bevel, jointed it again, and then reset it again. And the thing is the reason I do that, if you're not careful, what you can end up with is a foil edge or a wire edge, or even sometimes kind of a jagged edge, depending on what stone you set the bevel on, the kind of strokes you use, that kind of thing. And if you will join it, if you'll set the bevel and then join it and then reset the bevel, and I don't mean, pass it over the corner of the stone 15 times. Just run it lightly over the edge of the stone, the corner of the stone, a couple of times to take any of that, to fold any of that wire edge over, so that when you go ahead and go to set the bevel again, it'll come off of there. You can reset that bevel in a quick way. It doesn't take very much. Lovely. And it's well worth doing. Another thing you can do is just a few edge trailing, like if you were stropping it. Razor's so sharp, I gotta be careful. But Jonathan Schultz and I think, were talking about that earlier this week. Or it might have been Kevin Moore. I believe it was, actually. But I believe it was Kevin. But yeah, I mean, that can help a lot as well. That's a gorgeous shade. Beautiful. Slight touch up. There we go. All right. Lovely edge and a lovely shade. We're going to close out with Barbasol Brisk. You guys know what I did to this, and it'll work really well with the Mile High Menthol. Lovely. All right. Thanks very much for coming along. Bless you. And I'll talk to you later.